AMP1 folks, welcome to our first little video lecture on the spinal cord. So what we're going to do is go over some basic functions of the spinal cord and then look at its anatomy. Now, three basic functions of the spinal cord. Function number one, transmit information. Okay, we're going to transmit information in two directions actually, which is why I've got transmit up here twice. So the spinal cord is going to transmit sensory information basically from your periphery up your spinal cord to the brain. Meanwhile, the spinal cord is also going to take motor commands the other direction, from the brain basically down the cord to the periphery. Now, the final function of the spinal cord is integration. So when we talk about integration, remember that's processing information. And the best example of integration is going to be reflexes. A lot of reflexes that we discuss, by the way, a reflex is like an automatic response to a stimulus. And a lot of the reflexes we discuss will be spinal reflexes. Okay, let's keep on going. So, sorry about that. My kids just ran to the room. And where were we? We just did these three functions. Let's keep on going. Let's look at some of these things. What I got here is a cross-section of the spinal cord. And I want you to notice something about the spinal cord here. In the spinal cord, we have this area right here. It's kind of butterfly shaped. This area right here is made of something called gray matter. More on that later. And surrounding that butterfly is white matter. Okay? So all this stuff right here is going to be white matter. I'm just going to write WM. White matter. White matter is made of myelinated axons. And myelinated axons are going to carry action potentials. They're going to carry electrical information. And they're going to take it both up and down. And we see that here. What we've got here are blue colored ascending tracks. So the things in blue are ascending tracks. So they're taking sensory information up the cord to the brain. And a bunch of different ones are labeled here. I got real bad news for you. You are not going to have to learn the locations and labels. You're not going to have to know that we've got like a dorsal spinocerebellar tract. Maybe when you take a real anatomy class in the future, you'll have to do that. Anyhow, these blue ones in our white matter are carrying sensory information up the spinal cord. Meanwhile, we also have descending tracts. So we're going to have descending tracts as well. Descending tracts are these guys that are in red. And the descending tracts are carrying motor information down the spinal cord. Okay, so we got our two of our big functions right here. Transmitting information up and down. All right, let's keep going. If we look at this picture here, we are going to see the integration. Let's say you stabbed your skin with a nail. For some horrible reason, you decide to do that. When you stab your skin, information is going to go along this sensory neuron here. Dun, dun, dun. Sensory neuron is going to carry this information. Notice the sensory neuron is a unipolar neuron. There's its cell body right there. Sensory neuron enters the dorsal side of the spinal cord. It synapses, here's the synapse right here, on an interneuron. The interneuron is going to process that information from the sensory neuron. The inner neuron is then going to synapse with a motor neuron, and a command is going to go out, 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 out to a skeletal muscle, which is going to let you pull that body part away. So what's going on here is we are integrating that sensory information. It's happening at that inner neuron. Now notice that inner neuron is located in this gray matter butterfly of the spinal cord. So this is our third function, integration. And our best example of integration occurs in reflexes. Okay, what we're going to move on to now is, let's clear that butterfly off there. There we go. What we're going to do now is talk about the protection of the spinal cord. Spinal cord is basically protected by three things: bone, meninges, and cerebrospinal fluid. Three basic things that protect it. All right, let's look at each of these three in turn. Okay. Let's look at the bony protection first. We see the spinal cord in here. Here's our spinal cord, of course. Right there, there's our spinal cord. You knew that. Cross section. And what we see here is a vertebra surrounding it. We have a lamina right there. We have a pedicle. Here's a pedicle right here, more or less. We have processes: spinous process, transverse process. So we can see all this, and we have, of course, have the body of the vertebra as well. We have all of these things creating this vertebral foramen, this big hole in the bone, and protecting that cord. So we've got bony protection. That's number one. What else do we have? Well, we have the meninges. The meninges are these three membranes surrounding the spinal cord. I like to use the mnemonic device PAD. The meninges are going to pad, P-A-D, the spinal cord. This mnemonic device gives me my meninges from deep to superficial. So our innermost meninx is the pia mater. Then outside of it is the arachnoid matter, and outside of it is the dura mater. If we look at this guy here, our pia mater is this kind of bluish guy right here. I'm putting an arrow on him. That guy right there is the pia mater. Then this whitish one right here, that guy right there, is our arachnoid matter, and the gray, thicker guy is the dura mater. So those are our three basic layers. Pia, arachnoid, dura, they pad the spinal cord. We're going to see them around the brain as well. Now notice this listing here, PAD, also gives it in order of increasing thickness. The pia is the thinnest, the dura is the thickest. Okay, if we look at another representation of this, just a drawing I made here, I've got my spinal cord, then the red around the spinal cord is going to be the pia mater, the green is the arachnoid, the bluish is the dura. Now notice that we're going to have some space in between the pia and the arachnoid. That space is called the subarachnoid space. It is going to be filled with cerebrospinal fluid. And then also notice we have some space outside of the dura. That space outside the dura is the epidural space. It'll contain a nice cushiony layer of adipose tissue, which is perfect for right there. All right, let's get rid of that stuff. And let's pop over to the next slide. Here I see one final view of the histology. I've got my thick dura, my skinny arachnoid, and my skinny pia mater on the white matter of my spinal cord. Okay, that was our first micro lecture on the spinal cord. We will pick up next time and keep on going.